What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. Y'all hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. So on this channel, man, I tell different stories about my life and the people around me. You know what I mean? Whether it's my father, my mother, me, stories about my time in college, etc. And so oftentimes I call those videos Storytime with Mac. So this is not one particular story. This story is really just about an individual and how crack cocaine ruined black folks, like for real. And some of this is not supposed to be funny, but you gonna kind of chuckle at some of this stuff, but it's really not though, right? So my dad grew up when crack cocaine hit black America, hit the black community. My dad was like late 20s, like late 20s, right? Maybe going into early 30s, but late 20s, right? My dad was a fully grown man at the time. And so my dad grew up on the south side of Chicago in the Wild Hundreds. And, you know, he grew up he had a lot of friends growing up. Y'all, nearly everybody that my dad grew up with, like not everybody, but a lot of people, a ton of people my dad grew up with and went to school with, a lot of them became addicted to crack cocaine after it hit. And so one of these individuals that I'm going to discuss, it affected him like crazy. Like all my life, I only knew him to be addicted to crack cocaine. Not my dad, but I'm talking about this individual that grew up with my dad and, you know, went to school with my dad and was friends with my dad. My whole life, I only known him to be addicted to crack cocaine. When my dad had his own cable business, I told y'all this. You know, my dad was hooking up more than half of Chicago. My dad then hooked up Commons Cable, Jim Belushi Cable. I'm talking about that cable where you pay a one-time fee. My dad was the cable man for Chicago in the Chicagoland area. He was going out to Gurney doing cable. My dad was doing his thing, right? So anyway, it would be sometimes where my dad had a main partner that he worked with, but sometimes if his main partner wasn't feeling well, if his main partner went out of town, if his main partner had to handle some other business, he would get another person to help him. And one of these individuals was a man who was addicted to crack cocaine. Now this dude that's addicted to crack cocaine, he still is to this day. He is on it, but he is like functional with it. Like he can do work for you around the house. Like this man has helped me put together a dining set in my crib. I paid him to do it. Helped me hung up curtains in the house, all of that. Like I've been knowing him all my life, but he's just addicted. He's an addict. So, but he does great work, right? He did work in my grandma's kitchen. My grandma knew him since he was a little bitty boy, you know? So anyway, my dad seeks him out to come, like, yo, my main partner, he not doing what he not feeling well today. Can you come assist me with some jobs? So my dad had about 4 cable jobs lined up. And so he told him, we got 4 jobs to do. After we do the 4 jobs, I'm gonna take you back home. Cause you know, the guy stayed with his father, right? And so the guy agreed. He said, okay, cool. They go do about 2 or 3, they did maybe 3 jobs, right? So now the guy got a nice amount of money in his pocket. Now he ready to go. He ready to go so he can go get high. He not trying to worry about that last job, their 4th job. My dad said, hey man, we about to go do this last job. We're going to do this real quick, and then I'm going to take you back to the home, and then I'm going to head home myself. So the dude like, take me back home now. My dad said, what? I told you before that, you know, yesterday that we had 4 jobs to do. We got to do this last job. You ain't tell me that. You ain't tell me that. He lying now. He lying because he ready to go take this money that he made to go get high. So my dad like, no, man, you finna come do this last job with me, man. I need your assistance with this. You agreed. Come on, let's go do this last job. He telling my dad, let me out the car, let me out. Nope, let me out. Right? So my dad like, man, my dad is driving. My dad like, man, I'm not stopping this car, man. We finna go do this job, man. You agreed to do this job with me. Dude like, man, I ain't doing that. I ain't agree to that job. I ain't agree to that. I'm ready to go. Take me home. My dad like, man, I'm not stopping this car. My dad driving, he in traffic. This man jumps out of a moving car, opens the door, jumps out of the passenger seat, jumps out of the car, did a roll while he jumped. I think it's not funny. It is a little bit. Yeah, he jumps out of the car and rolled, and then got up. My dad stood there and watched him out the rearview mirror, and my dad was in disbelief. Like, this man really jumped out of a moving car. Now cars are riding past my dad, looking at my dad crazy because they thinking my dad didn't push this man out the car. My dad like, yo, I ain't push him. They looking all at my dad, looking crazy because they see a man flying, rolling out the car. So my dad see him. He gets up. My dad wasn't going that fast, luckily, right? But the man, the guy that jumped out of the car after he finished rolling, he got up, dusted himself off, started walking with a limp, and started walking to wherever he trying to go get home. And that was so crazy. That's when I knew crack cocaine was a powerful drug. And I said, man, this is crazy. Now, around this time, because I told y'all, this man has been an addict for all I know him. My dad eventually tells me when I'm growing up, like, you know, he had a wife and a son. Now, again, this is humanizing him because, you know, we only, it's a word, black people call them crackheads, right? And we only known him, I've only known him to be addicted to crack cocaine. I never knew he had a family, a wife, and a son. Like, yeah, he had a wife, a son. Then he got hooked on that stuff. And then he just went a whole different way. Lost his wife, ain't seen his son in forever. His son got kids, all of that. You know, this man got grandkids, and he just out, still addicted to crack cocaine. So anyway, it was just crazy, mind-boggling. Like, yo, what? And when I found that out as a kid. So anyway, I found it out, like, not as a kid. As a kid. I was like 11, 12 when my dad told me this. So anyway, my dad would tell me about, like, because the guy would tell, you know, I know him, the guy I'm talking about. I know, like, he see me, what's up, Malcolm? What's going on? We had talks, all that, you know what I mean? Because he's been around. He come around the neighborhood doing work for people, all of that, you know what I mean? Anyway, so the guy, he would tell my dad about certain things, and my dad would tell me certain stuff. So it's another dude that they grew up with. Another guy also got addicted to crack cocaine. Now, his mom, this guy that I'm talking about, that my dad was telling me about, his mom passed away. His mom left the house to him. The house was bought. She left a car for him, a Jaguar to him, all of that. This man sold the Jaguar to the dope man. All the utilities was off in the house. It was crazy. He was in the house just concerned about getting high. So the individual that was doing the cable job with my dad, you know what I mean, that jumped out the car, he went over there because, you know, addicts, when they get some money, he got some money from his mom too, some nice little change. So he was spending all of that on smoking crack cocaine. It's terrible. They, you know, when they get high, they would like to have, like, people over, right? So the guy that jumped out of the car, he got invited over. They over there, them and some girls, they in there getting high, whatever. The guy that jumped out of the car, he says he goes to use the guy's bathroom. He go in the bathroom, he lift up the toilet. My dad say the dude told him it was a pile of shit about this high stacked up to the toilet. Cause ain't no water. I'm sorry, if y'all eating, I'm sorry. Ain't no water. Ain't no running water in there. So can't flush the toilet. Like, the toilet can't be flushed. Ain't no water in the toilet can't be flushed. Now ain't no running water in the house. It's just crazy. I say, hey yo, can you imagine the smell in that damn bathroom? I'd have threw up. I'd have threw up immediately on smelling it, seeing it, all of that. But, like, yeah, my dad would tell me stories about people who, again, had families, had wives, stories about men getting their wives on the drug. It was a dude, my dad knew this guy who, you know, he grew up with and used to work with. This guy became addicted to crack cocaine. So he was functional, you know, going to work still and getting high. And so one time, you know, eventually this guy got his wife addicted to the drug too. She becomes an addict. They start doing it together. Then eventually the girl she gets more deep into her addiction, deeper than the husband. So she said, you know what? I'm going to cut out this middleman. I'm going to cut out my husband. She started messing with the dealer, doing favors. You know what type of favors I'm talking about. for the dealer, start messing around with him so she can get the drugs directly from him and not have to wait on her husband to come get her money to go get it, right? So she started messing with the dude that's dealing. The dude that's dealing ends up taking his wife's life. It was crazy. And my dad would tell me all these stories, you know what I mean? And from me hearing all of these stories, oh my God, I never want to do no drugs. Like, I ain't want to do nothing. That's why I just never was, it was never a thing for me, but it's part of a reason why I don't really smoke and drink and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because I just never wanted to be addicted to anything like that. Because I've seen the effects or heard about the effects of what it does to people. And I've seen it firsthand, right? Man, I remember, I ain't gonna lie, man. This one time my dad used to come pick us up for a report card pickup. And so he come pick up me and my sister. I got to go to high school to go get my report card. Now, he just finished doing a cable job, so he got the guy that's an addict in the car with him. And the guy that's an addict, he looked like Robin Williams when Robin Williams came out of Jumanji with all the stuff on his face and looking wild. So I'm thinking he finna drop him off before we go to report card pickup. We pull up in front of Morgan Park High School. He's still with us. I'm like, I'm embarrassed because I don't want him to come up in there. I'm thinking my dad gonna let him come up in there. And I'm like, Dad, I can go get it myself. I'm 18 now. My dad like, you sure? That don't sound right. I got to go up in here with you. So the addict says, man, we might as well all go up in here. My dad said, hey, no. You stay up in this car. We ain't going to be there long. You stay right up in here. He said, me, my little sister, and my dad, we all finna go up in and get this report card and come up out of here. He's like, listen, you stay up in the car. We'll be out. So I said, woo, in my head. I said, Dad, I thought you were going to let him come up in here. He looking crazy. They going to start talking about me at school. Like, look at me. It's bad. Like, look at Malcolm people. My daddy like, man, hecky no. Hell no. I ain't finna have him come up in there. I know how they go. I'm like, thank you. Because they would have been talking about your boy. He like, oh, no, I wasn't finna do that to you. I'm like, because when you didn't go home, when you showed up with him, and y'all didn't go to the house to drop him off, I was scared. But, yeah, I saw how drugs did Black people and how it did the community. And it's like, it's scary to think about, but those are stories.